Hi kids, it's me. I'm going to read chapter 8 of Punished. There's only one more chapter after this, and then you can take an AR test if you like. It's 2 points, I believe. Okay. Either way, it's the same. The definition was simple. A palindrome is a word or sentence that is spelled the same forward and backward. The name Otto and Hannah were each palindromes. I didn't know any Ottos or Hannahs. I guess a palindrome was actually a special kind of anagram. But this was the cool part. A whole sentence could be a palindrome too, like Madam, I'm Adam. This might be tough. Think small, I told myself as I walked home. I started running small words through my mind. I'd already used rat art for an anagram. I wondered if there was anything called rat tar. Yuck, if there was, it sounded pretty disgusting. When I got home, I flipped through my dictionary, looking for short words. That's how I came up with my first palindrome. As soon as it hit me, I jumped up and ran to the kitchen. This isn't going to be hard at all, I thought, feeling pretty pleased with myself. There were plenty of pots, and plenty of tops. Pot, top. If you spelled it backwards, it was still pot, top. I grabbed the smallest pot top and slipped one on the rubber band over it. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I hoped the top wouldn't disappear. Mom wouldn't like that, but I shouldn't have worried. Instead of making anything vanish, the rubber band started glowing. Then the glow faded, and when the glow was all gone, the rubber band has changed from brown to yellow. I slipped it off and put it in my pocket. This was great. One down and just 6 to go. All that stood between me and normal life was a half-dozen more palindromes. I thought about slipping another rubber band over a different pot top, but I was so close to ending my punishment, I didn't want to take any chances doing something that might be cheating. I realized I had 2 palindromes living at home with me, Mom and Dad. Mom was easy. Want to see a magic trick? I asked. Sure. She was in the middle of balancing the checkbook. First it's brown. I slipped the rubber band over her wrist. Now it's yellow. Very nice, she smiled at me and went back to what she was doing. Dad would be tougher. If I showed him the trick, he'd want to know how it was done. Luckily, he's always taking a nap after dinner. As soon as he drifted off on the couch, I sneaked over with a rubber band and put it on his finger. Yellow, that made 3. I thought about all the sort of short words. I started playing with the Scrabble tiles again. Bed, deb, tin, knit, pin, nep. None of them worked. There wasn't anything like a car rack or a racked car either. But as I stared at the letters, I realized there was something even better. I went back to my closet, searched through the old toys, and pulled out a model race car. I slipped the rubber band around it and smiled as the band changed colors. 4 down, 3 to go. In less than half an hour, I found 2 more. Dad had a level in his toolbox. Level was a palindrome, all by itself. And then I realized my sister, Kaylee, could be called Sis for short. And she loved magic tricks, so I did the rubber band trick for her. That made 6. But as easy as it had been to find the first 6, I had no luck at all finding the 7th. I felt like a home run king in a batting slump. I'd knocked a bunch of pitches out of the park and then couldn't hit another ball. I flipped through the dictionary. I played with the letter tiles. I closed my eyes and ran words through my head until my brain felt like it was turning into alphabet soup. I'm doomed, I told Buster when I went to bed. Woof, he answered. Woof, woof, I said, changing it to see if it was a palindrome. Nope. Bark, crab? Nope. Again. Roof, 4? Now, nowhere near close enough. The next morning, I felt like I hadn't gotten any sleep at all. Sleep, I thought. I turned it into peels. Was there such a thing as sleep peels? Nope. It was just another useless phrase to add to an endless list of things that didn't work. I trudged off to school and took my seat. Still mad? I asked Benedict when he sat down. He didn't answer me. You're not mad. We could anger round together this weekend. Benedict turned his back toward him. I decided to shut up before I drove him from the room. This was awful. If my best friend hated me, how would strangers treat me? I thought about what my life would be like if I didn't find the final palindrome. I'd never be able to talk again. People would just groan at me and stop listening. Everyone would hate me. They wouldn't take anything I said seriously. I'd have to live someplace where nobody spoke English. They wouldn't understand me, but at least they wouldn't hate me. The day dragged on. As it got close to 3:30, I decided all I could do was go to the library and give Professor Wordsworth what I had. Maybe he'd give me more time or a different task. Either way, it was my only hope. I glanced at the clock again. 1 minute to go. Well, Logan, Mr. Vernac said, walking over to my desk, you've been extremely quiet these last few days. I'd like you to join the discussion. We don't want Miss Glott to think you don't like our lessons. He pointed to the chalkboard. Please pick one of these words and use it in a sentence. I stared at the list on the board. Device, conduct, example, satellite, protest. It didn't matter which word I picked. Any of them would do me when it turned into a pun. Whatever I said, Mr. Vernac would get angry. My best chance was to keep my mouth shut. I want an answer from you right now, he said, or you can stay after class. After class? Oh no, if he kept me after, I'd never get to the library on time. I had to say something, but Mr. Vernac was so angry now that I knew he'd make me stay if I said a pun. I was doomed either way. I sat there with my mouth open. My pants! Benedict screamed. My pants are on fire! He leaped from his desk and ran toward the front of the room. Then he started jumping up and down and slapping at his legs with both hands. Everyone stared at him. He kept slapping for a minute, then glanced down and said, Wait, my mistake, never mind. As Benedict walked toward his seat, he grinned at me. Right then the bell rang. Everyone started to rush out. Okay, class dismissed, Mr. Vernac said. Except for... I held my breath. Benedict, he said, I guess imaginary burning pants were a lot worse than not answering a teacher. I slipped away and ran out of the building. Thanks, Benedict, I said to myself as I raced down the school steps and headed for the sidewalk. What a pal I had. I owed him a lot. But I was still in trouble. I reached the library and went down to the reference section. The professor was there, reading. I had a problem, I said. I pulled the rubber bands from my pocket, one brown and the other 6 bright yellow, and held out his hand to show him. So I see, he said. Can I get more time, I asked. He shook his head. No, sorry. I've looked everywhere, I said. It's not fair. It's just not fair. He stared at me calmly, and he said, You still have a few minutes. Maybe the answer is right under your nose. Lip? I asked. Lip pill? I said, trying to make a palindrome out of it. That was just a figure of speech, he said. He leaned forward until his face was only inches from mine. Maybe the answer is right in front of you. He reached out with one finger and touched the end of my nose. I took a step away. Then I froze as the answer sank in. Of course, Professor Robert Wordsworth, I said, remembering the day he told me his name. He smiled. I stretched out the rubber band. And I'll bet your friends call you, I said as I slipped the rubber band over his hand. Bob, we said together. What a simply wonderful palindrome. The rubber band on his wrist glowed yellow. Behind me the clock ticked. I glanced at 5 minutes after 4. Am I cured? I asked. Find out for yourself, he told me, as the sound of running footsteps announced Benedict's arrival. I figured I'd find you here, he said, sliding to a halt next to me. Then you rushed out of the other day. When I saw you on the steps, I knew something important was going on, even if you wouldn't tell me about it. I took a deep breath and spoke. Thanks for saving me back there in the school. Did you get in much trouble? Wow, not a single pun. I wasn't being punished anymore. No, Benedict said. Mr. Vernac just gave me a lecture about civic responsibility and made me clean the chalkboards. But I guess I can forget about being student of the month for a while. Would you settle for being best friend of the century, I asked? I guess that's pretty good, even if it doesn't come with a pizza, I grinned at him. Who said it doesn't? Let's get one thing right now. I have that coupon, remember? I thought you were saving it for a special day, Benedict said. You have no idea how special today is, so how about we go stuff our faces? Sounds great, Benedict said. Now are you going to tell me what this is all about? Sure, I said. I glanced at the professor. He nodded, so I figured it was okay. It's a long story. Best told someplace else, the professor said. This is a library, not a meeting room. Benedict glanced over at the professor, who asked you. Oh no, the professor raised his dusty old book and took a deep breath. Here we go again, I thought, expecting Benedict to get punished. I wondered if he'd get the same 3 quests or have to find something completely different. Instead of blowing dust, the professor winked at me, put the book down, and went back to reading. Come on, I said, tugging Benedict by the arm. I'll tell you all about it on the way to the pizzeria. We walked out of the library back into the warm weather. I'll share mine with you when I win it, Benedict said. Thanks. I know I messed up for May, but June's a short month. It'll be easy, especially when I turn in a great paper. Did you figure out a topic? I asked. Benedict nodded. I've got something Mr. Vernac will love. Miss Glut, too. I'm going to write about the words and stuff. Oxymorons and anagrams? Those are okay, but I really want to write about puns. I know they make people groan, but there's also something sort of cool about them. Yeah, they are kind of cool, I said. Ready for pizza? Sure, pizza, great guy, Benedict said. Yes, pizza, great guy. I groaned and then laughed. And then I said, since we have a coupon, we don't need any dough. I didn't have to make a pun. That doesn't mean I didn't want to. It was nice having the choice. I never sausage a nice pizza, Benedict said. When we reached the window outside the pizzeria, I read about one in the newspaper, I said as I opened the door, and we walked inside, 2 grown boys. All right, that was the end. I thought it was 9 chapters. It's only 8. So that's the end of Punished by David LaBar. The last questions I have for you is, I live with a palindrome. Can you think of the palindrome that I live with? And what is Mr. Vernac is his English teacher's name. What is the definition of vernacular? And do you think that Benedict and Logan have a new appreciation for words and figurative language and wordplay? So that's the end of Punished. Tomorrow I'll start a new book for you guys. It's called The Chocolate Touch. See you then.